Welcome to the Conscious Radio Network's YouTube channel. Become enlightened, have fun, and tell all your friends and family to share with everyone they know. You can find us on Facebook and stay up to date on our Facebook group, or find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our podcasts can be found on Libsyn, iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcast, and more. Most of all, remember to go to our official website at consciousradionetwork.com for podcasts, hosts, future shows, and scheduling. We also want to welcome our international audience. Don't stop now. Enjoy the community. Subscribe today.
This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Good day, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be on the spaceship we call Earth. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network's weekly series, The Seance. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Paul Meckes. If this is your first time tuning in, please click subscribe, like, share, and comment. Also, don't forget to listen wherever you listen to your podcasts. How to realign your perceptions. Joining us back on the Seance, the president of Life Energy Publications and founder of the Institute of Modern Holistic Alchemy, where he leads the charge in advancing holistic wellness and stress processing through the SAF method. With a deep-rooted passion for empowering individuals to unlock their full potential, he is dedicated to preserving, protecting, and advancing the research and writing of Kathy and Joseph R. Scagna Jr. His commitment in sharing insights on self-empowerment, holistic wellness, and the transformative journey of overcoming trauma, which drives him to foster meaningful connections and provide valuable resources to those seeking the holistic approach to wellness and life. Let's welcome back to the show, Nick Scagna. Welcome back,
Hey.
Nick.
All right. Hey, how we doing, Dr. Paul?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Well, very
This
good.
this is another subject we often intersect with in many conversations, and our perceptions. What are they? How do they help us? How do they hurt us?
Yeah.
But so what seems to define our perceptions?
Well, that's a great question. What seems to define our perceptions is a scope of how we've approached the world, how the world has come to us, and whatever tools we have at that point in time is how we will perceive the world as it is. Now, we, of course, make our adjustments, and we attach different attributes to different parts of the world at large as it comes to us. As we perceive it, we askew it so that it either fits our quote-unquote worldview or fits our experience in general. And so we would define that by basically being put into a place by ourselves and by those around us, usually our family when we're really young, as a scope of how we view in our telescope looking out. We see the world through that lens. And what we want to do with alignment is we want to kind of define that idea of perception and perceiving those things around us, the people, the places, and the things, the sounds, all those things that kind of perk us or tweak us a little bit and give us some kind of response.
There's always certain things that mislead and direct our perceptions. Like you said, there's a lack of a better word, peer pressure. There could be something, an outside influence that is causing us to perceive something other than what we would otherwise view with our five senses. That's correct.
Yeah, and in our philosophy of understanding, our science of life energy, is that there's an equal balance of push and pull or pressure and space, that we're trying to constantly find the middle ground in our body. Our equilibrium of our wellness is always trying to find this equilibrium. Our senses are also trying to do that as well. And so that creates a lot of shortcuts, and it creates a lot of notes, so to speak, on stimulus. So if a stimulus comes in, it has a flash that says that this is the way that you're supposed to react to this situation based on all of our previous data. That is where we get skewed, is these notes that are basically put on senses. And we're really ratcheted into the 5 main senses that we already know. But what if there are 128 perceptions? What if there are as many different ways to perceive the same exact scenario all at once? And what if we're doing that unconsciously mostly? But it's there as something that we can tap into and project into, I would almost say, because you have to experience these perceptions in such a way that you perceive and experience touch and smell and sight, sound.
That segues in the next question. Other than the 5 senses, how many perceptions are there estimated to be?
Now, I don't know about modern thinking, but in my dad's research, he wrote about 128 different perceptions, and that could be into the sense of, and so we would say that with most of them, the sense of time as a perception, the sense of shape. So there's a lot of different places that can go, and where that takes you is all kind of included in one experience. So when we try to unlock and realign our perceptions, we're trying to tap into those programs that are running under the covers, so to speak, that we can't get to normally. We want to find a way to tap into that so that we can clear them, that we can experience them, kind of register what they're saying. So a lot of psychic imprint happens in that field as well. How do you tap into that kind of energy? And for a lot of people, it's just not part of their everyday, and it doesn't need to be, so to speak. The world is around them just is the way that it's supposed to be for them. They're not looking for it, but if they are looking for it, it's there.
Yeah. with that begs a question too. With the with the psychics and mediums. One being myself, with some of the work that I've done in the past, with mediumship. Now, as a perception, I would call that a perception, because you're perceiving something, you're trying to connect with spirit, and you kind of have a conversation, but it's not like a conversation we're having.
Right. I'm
perceiving it differently. I'm getting pictures. I'm getting elements. I'm getting, either, senses. So it's using some of the 5 senses: smell, hearing, sometimes seeing, but like in the mind's eye. Are some of those senses too involved with, or not senses? Are those some of the perceptions that we could fall in that group?
Yeah, and again, it's every moment. All 128 are running at all points. So when you're getting multiple senses in, that's correct. The closer you can get to joining a unified experience of those perceptions, the better, the more energy you can create in the moment for yourself, the more latent talent and power that you can pull out of that. And this goes for those things that happened in our past, the things that we don't really want to look at. That's where a lot of this energy and potential is stored, that we have to go through and investigate and reclaim and take that power back and bring it to our present, this ever non-present present.
Yeah.
But this is where our tracks are running. Kind of like if you have 128 train tracks and there are trains on all of them and they're all moving forward, you want to align them as much as possible, so that you're getting a more unified experience in the moment and less fractured and broken and all this stuff behind veils and hidden. And it really is very simple to look at somebody that does have some or a lot of psychic ability Why are they able to do that and somebody else isn't? It's not because the other person doesn't have that ability, but it's hidden. It's undercover.
Got to unlock it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and flex it too. So,
yeah.
there was this whole thing with when COVID came out, and a lot of people got the loss of smell or loss of taste, and smell most specifically. That actually opened a lot of people up to like, oh, my sense of smell. Like I can lose the sense of smell, can be deadened. And one of the ways that they said to bring that sense back is to give it strong impressions, strong sense to smell, so that you could really revive that sense, so that it's kind of like pushed back into its equilibrium with the nervous system, so that it has dominance again. And that, that is, for a lot of people, that was a quirk that they were like, how does that even happen? But that happens with so much.
I've asked it. That happened to me. I lost the sense of, first I realized it was my taste. I'm getting ready to eat a bowl of chocolate ice cream. And next thing you know, I can't taste it. It's like, what?
Yeah. How about that? Yeah.
That sucks.
Like, right. What's the point?
Right? Oh, man.
They get the sugar rush,
smell,
I guess. Yeah.
So, but I think that's probably what made DoorDash and all the home delivery food things popular, because I didn't trust anything in my refrigerator at that point.
Yeah.
I'm like, what if something was bad? You don't have your senses to protect you.
Right.
So.
Right. And that is what, when we're looking at perceptions, what defines a lot of them is what will protect us, because our initial desire, of course, in life is to create energy, but then protection comes right after that. How to protect that which is ours, how to protect ourselves. It's very important. And that helps us define which perceptions we highlight and focus on and which ones we don't. Now, that's a great reference point for somebody that's being attacked by wild animals and is out there hunting, is engaging with nature in a different way, or with the world in a more war stance. But is that necessary in the day-to-day? Can you enhance your life by bringing more focus, light, and attention on these different modes of perception? And I would say yes. I'd say that the more knowledge you have about yourself, the less that's hidden from your own self, the better off you'll be, even in a war stance.
Yeah.
The next time that you are in a position that you do have to do the fight or flight mode, that will be enhanced, because you'll have more data being brought in that you can act on, potentially before it even happens.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. How can we shift these perceptions?
Well, one of the clues that we're given in life, if we look and examine how we've lived and where the experiences we've had, for me at least, and I always speak for myself, one of the ways that we can look back and realign, and how we can currently shift consciously, is by seeing how it's happened to us before. And so we can look to say, I was walking down the street, I was having a great day, and out comes this dog, and he runs up to me, and he freaks me out. Maybe he bites me out of nowhere for no reason. And now my complete perspective, let's just say in the very little bit, we'll say that my perspective on dogs is different. I perceive the world a little differently, because dogs now have a different place. They're scary, they run out at you, and they bark, and they bite. So now I'm freaked out. I'm afraid of dogs. Now, maybe this happened when I was 7, and now I've moved forward. But everything shifted after that. My whole perception of life has shifted based on that one experience. So now here I am, and I'm afraid of dogs for no reason, I feel. Yeah. Maybe I don't even remember being bit. That's like long gone. I mean, that's 7 years old. Who cares?
Yeah.
Well, now here I am, and I just have this terrible fear of dogs. Somebody brings a dog around. Now all of my notes on perception come up, and they say, that dog is going to bark. That dog is going to bite you. Either attack it or be afraid of it. It's usually the responses that you'll get.
Yeah.
Fight it somehow, you know. But is that appropriate? No, probably not. So that would be somewhere that we want to really look towards. How can we fix that so that your reaction to this thing that keeps coming up over and over again in your life, how can we realign that, or how can we shift out of that old outmoded code that's been put in us? And one of the ways that we can do that is connecting the dots between this dog today and that experience when you were 7. And one of the keys there is to bring back your attention and your awareness to the point in time that it happened, and re-experience all of as many different tracks of perception that you can in that moment, and gather them all up, re-experience it with a sober and a non-connected kind of approach.
Yeah.
You don't want to be all scared and freaked out because you're back there. You want to experience it in a very conscious and deliberate way, knowing of your safety in the present. You see a lot of people go back and they're crying, and maybe they're not even getting anything done doing that, by going back and freaking out all over again, because they're reigniting this strength of this trauma. Now, a lot of people say crying helps, and it helps to process, and it's probably very valid. But we don't believe in talking about a problem to make it go away. We want to have action. We want to create a chain of reactions that can eliminate the influence of that shift in perception.
Yeah.
We want to get realignment. So what we look to do is take the power away from that dog interaction by re-experiencing it in as many tracks of perception as possible, from a very sober, conscious point and perspective, and then come forward with it to look for every other stimulus in response, every other note that's come up in life that's been created out of this. Drag it forward. And in so doing, you free the channel for all that energy that was stopped at that point in time.
Yeah. Huh. Would that also include those that are suffering from any type of PTSD, whether they were, like gun explosions, and like my uncle would have, if there was fireworks going off, he'd freak out because it reminded him of gunfire because he served in Vietnam and stuff like that.
Exactly.
But it's just triggers, and in general, triggers that somebody suffering from PTSD would also benefit from this.
Yeah, and absolutely. And of course, disclaimer, if you have any condition or any issue that you feel needs to be addressed by a professional, do so. This method works for me to go back and to investigate and to bring that energy forward. It's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah.
And again, not to experience it out of control. That's just feeding it. You don't want to feed it with more gunpowder. You want to eliminate the charge, right? You want to discharge that energy. It doesn't get to have it. And so you go in and you disarm it, and you let the trains flow forward so the energy can move the way it was going to move without the dog interaction.
Yeah.
Without the war, without the whatever that got in the way and stopped the trains from moving at that point in time. And I say that train is just a very linear idea, but it's the energy moving forward, and then it gets bound, and there's just less streams of energy coming out of that experience. People think, well, it was an intense experience. It totally overpowered me. It's colored my whole life. Exactly. And that's changed or swerved this initial or conception intent of your life. Not to say okay, you're living your life. This is all part of the maze, the experience. This is part of the game that we're playing. So it's not like, you don't get to do this. But these are techniques that allow us to realign with our original intent for being here, whatever that may be for somebody.
Yeah, it seems like some of these things are distractions. A distraction of, something happens. Oh, and unfortunately, we're trapped in body. We've got these things that kind of hold us down, these physical attributes, and it's something that is creating a distraction for us and getting in the way of our true potential.
Right. Yeah. And I would say that that's exactly right. It's a matter of what could we become? A lot of this goes into that idea of manifestation too, law of attraction, in a way that how do we get that to be more prevalent in our life? How can we just get things to magnetize to us that we want and desire? I think about the different ways that people do it, like writing a check to yourself for some time in the future. Well, how aligned are you with that idea? How much do you want that to come true? Are you willing to live the life that makes that manifest? And for a lot of people, they just want to write the check and just wish and pray, and that's it. And it's going to take more than that. You got to align as many of these different tracks of perception as possible into your intent and your desire. And that's future casting. But if you want something like that to magnetize in your future, you kind of have to become that and already be a beacon for that kind of energy to happen.
Got to work for it.
I think of Jim Carrey's method, which is basically that. He wrote a check to himself for, I can't remember what, $1 million or $10 million or something like that for his 30th birthday. All this could be completely inaccurate. But he would also go to these mansions and like hang out, not in the mansions, but just in the neighborhood. And he just would dream and wish and desire to be there. And he also worked really hard to make that an actuality for himself. And I guess a lot of things didn't line up until they did. And he was actually able to cash that check at age 30. But he did a lot to align everything up so that it would go the way that he wanted it to go.
And being funny helps. I mean,
it helps.
Being that funny, yes. I mean, which did.
In living color. I mean, just,
Oh, man.
Amazing.
Yeah. What are some of the potential benefits of shifting our perceptions?
Well, aligning with purpose, and that's kind of like, well, what is that? It's a little generic, but finding where we want to go, but also where we should be going, in a sense. Where our truest potential is, it's likely where we want to end up. So somewhere, what I consider the hero principle of ourselves, probably where we want to, align to our personal hero, ourself, right?
Yeah.
In full potential. So some of the benefits that come off of realigning these perceptions is this reactive, non-reactive action thing that we're in, where we see something, we hear something, we react to it based on these previous experiences that we've had. You mentioned one thing. You mentioned the color yellow, and that means something different to everybody. There's going to be stimulus that pops up when they think of the word yellow. It corresponds to the shirt that they wore yesterday or something like that. And then the chain reaction all the way back to their first experience with the color yellow. That's just how it works. Something really basic like that. When you work with the shape of a person, and maybe that person, maybe a person that had that same shape beat you up as a kid. And now you see that same shape. You can't make out the person. Your brain, your perceptions are going to command your brain to react in a certain way of fear, of anxiety. You might start even to sweat until the person comes into focus, and it's not that person at all. That was somebody, schoolyard fight when you were a kid. Now, 20 years later, there they are, right? So having a little bit more command over our current state, allows us to react in a different way to stimulus. So we're more aligned with the things that we want. Obviously, that's going to give us more energy, more power, but it also could increase our talent, whatever pool we're working with. If we wanted to become an artist, this can help in that regard. If we wanted to increase our ability for psychic abilities, absolutely, because we're bringing to bear more of our forces. Much like the Chariot card and the tarot, right? We've conquered our own personal world, our city, and we're gallivanting out into the world with the animals at reign in our command. And so that kind of idea of having more of our power available to us could allow us to do a lot of different things. In wellness, this allows us to be able to feel and experience our body in such a way that we can kind of know that something's coming up. It always helps to have, some clues. The medical world is full of different diagnostics, so that always helps. But we can also be very in tune with ourselves and kind of get into our own space. And basically foresight, I think that's one of my favorite parts of realignment is knowing that something's going to happen before it happens, avoiding the bridge collapse, avoiding the building falling down, being in the right place at the right time. Much can be said for what that can do for us.
Yeah, paying attention to that, the intuition. People think, people say, call it coincidence or synchronicities or, their higher self. And I've heard skeptics out there all the time that something they didn't believe in, and suddenly they were like, I was told, I was gonna take a right. I was seriously going to take a right, but I took a left because something told me to take a left, and I did it and got out of a bad situation.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And now someone would say that's your guides or whatever. You can also claim the power yourself because you have the ability to hear the guides, if that's what you want to call it as. You have the transceivers are on. You got your radios on. You're ready and available for those signals to come in because your tracks aren't all bogged down with doubt and with these different responses to different stimulus. Instead of just going along, when a potential is coming up, there's a lot of different energy tracks to take in. And being as clear and clean as possible in that regard for our perception goes a long way for intuition. As one basic. The codes that are put into us when we're young, not to mention the genetic codes that we have from our previous, existence, they get in the way, and sometimes it's not what we want. Maybe you want to be a master piano player, a pianist, but you don't know how to play the piano. What if you could tap into that latent knowledge in your DNA? If somebody in your DNA track back in the past has played the piano, it's a very good likelihood that you can tap into that and manifest a piano. And why are some kids able to speak, different languages all of a sudden, or be able to play and be a master guitar player or something like that at the age of 3? Mozart's a great example. Why is that not everybody's potential? And how can we find that?
Unlocking.
How can we unlock it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What are some of the connections between our perception and our energy field?
Well, I would say that it's everything. The first directive is to create energy and to grow, right? That's really a basics to life. It's just like a tree, anything else is to just grow and develop as a seed, right?
Yeah.
When we askew, when we swerve, when we dampen our light, when we lose sight, when our perceptions get dampened, darkened, then we are susceptible to a myriad of issues and conditions in life. So to grow and to be a full energetic powerhouse, aligning or realigning those perceptions back to a more full perspective versus a closed perspective would be the best thing that you could do. Again, to approach the world in a way that is very in alignment with your goals and your wants. I would say desires, sometimes that's taken the wrong way, but life purpose is a pretty good generic but broad term, because that's basically what I'm talking about, is your life purpose.
Yeah. Has there been any aside from having to give out names and stuff like that, do you have any testimonials of some breakthroughs, some breakthrough cases of those who have gone through these alignments and stuff, these processes to ultimately change your life?
I mean, nothing at whim, but there are, yes, because in the process of SAF, that is what we're doing, is we're going back and we're uncovering these points in time as they connect, and we're reconnecting that energy forward. So anybody that does an SAF chain, it's very simple. It connects the dots from point A to point C to present, and it realigns that energy, and the person gets an aha, and they move on to the next chain, and they move on, and it consistently finds ways to uncover those things that are hidden. So there's a lot. I mean, there's obviously anybody that taps into these things is realigning those perceptions, gaining more knowledge of those perceptions, and thus empowering themselves and building up an energy stream that's a little bit stronger than the day before, a little bit more in focus. And that's what we're trying to do, is build awareness. We're trying to get everybody on that same plateau of higher and heightened awareness, to where they're more in command of their life and not so downtrodden and ready for opportunity in the negative, to lessen somebody else's experience. What if we all had a little bit more of a heightened awareness, where we could approach the world in a different way? It's very utopian, I know, but if everybody was on that same page, where their development for the self was tantamount, paramount to their life, that they wanted to discover and uncover these things in themselves, maybe they, who knows where the world could go. But, for ourselves, what we want to do is create that energy stream. And that is what creates our realignment, a little bit at a time. So the first chain, it's going to be foggy. It's going to be unclear. The second, third, fourth chain, it becomes a little bit more in focus. It's always changing. As soon as you tap into it, it moves. So it's a matter of opening up that channel, and then freeing that energy, and then opening up another channel, and then freeing that energy. And it's not like following track 1, track 2, track 3. It's basically going off of your personal input. Your input into the SAF is exactly what you're going to get back. So the more you put into it, the more you get back.
Yeah. So before we wrap up the show, and for those who are listening, your website is scrolling down there on the bottom, lifeenergypublications.com. How can people, aside from the website, how can people find you, find your books, and all of your information?
I believe the books are all on, most of them are on Amazon. They can get all the books and our training and our seminars. We have a lot of free seminars coming up as well that can all be found at the website, lifeenergypublications.com. A lot of the realignment of perceptions and the 128 tracks of perception come from the original book, Origins of Genetic Behavior, which we now have termed junk DNA. And so the book is Junk DNA. Yeah. And that has your 128 perception tracks in it, as defined. When you do a chain, in our chain report, a lot of times there'll be impressions for a person to dwell on, different tracks of perception that they need to be dwelling on within that chain. So that is one specific way that they can begin to work on realignment. Very simple. Again, it's a questionnaire, so it's just answering questions. Very simple, but the process can be a very enlightening.
Wow. And the latest one is that's the SAF Simplified, the one that's behind you, correct?
Yeah. And that is the easiest, quickest way to begin the study of SAF, hence the Simplified. It houses multiple different programs of SAF in one book. There was many programs before. many of them are put into that book, so you can kind of approach it in a lot of different ways and learn about how to do a chain and how to read a chain, and all that self-study comes out of that book.
Yeah.
We'll be putting together a course that is solely around that book so that we can get people certified to do chains for themselves and others. We're going to be doing a small course basically just on the book itself. But right now we have a master class, which is a full clinical course that allows you infrared scanning and up to 5 books in the course. It's a very full look at SAF from that level 1 perspective.
Wow.
Simplified being part of that. The junk DNA, or the origins of genetic behavior, is part of level 2, which is much more physical DNA, RNA kind of oriented work.
Yeah.
Yep.
That sounds intriguing. I want to learn more about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, what would you like to offer as a give us a takeaway for our audience today?
Well, one, don't get bogged down. Always know that you're one shift of perception away from a whole new world. Just like the experience that came in and maybe shifted you to where you're at now, it's as simple as one choice, one redirection to realign with your energy and your purpose. It's very easy to do, but it does take a little bit of a removing yourself from the situation so that you can perceive it more clearly and less bogged down with the immediate impulses of the day, of the moment. So there are ways out. It's as simple as a slight adjustment. Going left instead of going right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stepping away from yourself for a moment. I've had certain experiences of that. Not like sometimes they felt like out of body experiences or astral projections and stuff, but stepping outside of yourself during a specific situation and observing the scenario or the situation from another point of view.
Yeah.
So.
Hardest to do in the moment, but if it's a moment that pushes you into a life or death situation, a lot easier. You'll find you do it automatically as part of the survival mechanism. But if you're just in like a situation that you don't want to be in, and it's like, how do I get out of this? It's really hard to pull up and out and rise above. But with practice, that can definitely happen. It's just a matter of, just like any other sense, you got to flex it, move it, like any other muscle. You just kind of have to work it to know what you're doing. And you're being a sensitive, you already have that draw. You already have that ability kind of in there that you're working and flexing. So for you, it could be done a little bit closer to on command than for somebody that's never even looked at it.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out how to escape, how to do a room escape of, I'm an introvert. So I'm trying to figure out how to escape a room full of extroverts.
Oh, wow. Yeah. be one with the flow.
Yeah.
So
trying to blend in.
Yeah, blend in. Yeah. You might need to become an extrovert for that moment.
Yeah. Wear the zebra outfit.
Yeah. But also know your purpose. Your purpose may be to be the hermit. In which case, don't put yourself into a room full of extroverts.
Yeah. Sit there and just listen. That's it.
Yeah.
Apparently, they all just want somebody to listen to their stories.
Right. Yes, exactly. Follow your power. Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah. Nick, blessings, my friend. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. Really appreciate it. Yeah.
You're very, very, very welcome. And keep me posted. Keep us posted. And, anything new, programs and books and stuff like that, keep me posted. And we can, throw them up on the website and, cross promote.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. And, definitely keep me posted on the, like to take the course.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be a lot less than the masterclass. And I think that's going to be enticing to a lot of people. It's going to be a book course. So it's very easy reading a book, real simple.
Now the 5 books, that usually, that 5 book thing, that masterclass, what's usually the time frame on that from beginning to
Well,
end?
it's self-run.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a way to speed it up for the student.
Yeah.
But that's been part of the issue, is that people don't like to study. So, it is an actual course, and there's a lot to it. And
Yeah.
5 books. They're not all big books, but there's enough in there. And so 3 months is probably realistic.
Hmm.
But if you're going a little slower, it's easily 6. And then if you can do it really fast, if you know the material, a lot of this lingo is much more common than it was back in the 80s and 90s even.
Mm.
If you know the material, you kind of have a grasp for bioenergy and
Yeah.
the operations of what we're doing with SAF, then it's a quick read, and it probably could be accomplished in like 5 weeks, because we do hands-on training as well. So there's 3 chains that are read, that your chains are read from the practitioner or
Mm.
teacher, and then you also do 5 extra chains on friends and family or whatever, so that
Wow.
you get a grasp on how to run the chain, how to do the chain after having seen somebody else do it,
Wow.
on top of having the book knowledge. So there's this whole, it's a very in-depth approach to learning a system, and becoming kind of knowing it more at command versus kind of fishing around and all that. Now, the simplified course that I'm looking to do, that is one of our level 1 books, and like I said, it's fantastic. It basically allows a person, anyone, to self-taught or self-study this material, but having a course around it will give us a little bit more ability to back them up, give them support. And there's a lot of people reading the book. I don't know who they are. I'd love to meet them. Come on out, have a chat, put a comment on this in this video,
Yeah.
so we can chat about it. I want to bring as many people, the readers, into the world, so that they can kind of enhance their knowledge base of reading these chains, and where these resources, because I'm putting a lot of free resources on the internet for them to use to accompany that book. So I think that course is going to be really good, because it will allow a little bit more of a personal, like, person's doing it themselves. The masterclass, there's a lot of touch points in it with the administration, so it's a lot more like a class, whereas the book course is going to be something more akin to what people are used to online nowadays.
And ultimately, we need more practitioners out there using it, because we can help help a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, the idea of the practitioner is to guide and this is it, as we call them, monitors, to monitor the progress for the participant, so that they are exploring themselves. I mean, it's very, like, there's not much to it, but, we do want it to be done correctly, not abused.
Yeah.
And, but yes, the more people that are helping other people learn more about themselves and uncover hidden traumas from their past, and, clearing that damage out, the better, I think.
Oh, yeah. Be a much healthier world. People be happy.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. More in their power. Yeah. Well, yeah. Exactly. More in their power, a different grace. Yeah. There could be a different grace to living, with more people kind of a little bit aware of that mirror quality in other people. You are another me kind of idea, so that more people we can have pausing before they react, the better.
Yeah, put a hold on the emotion, especially the reaction, the emotional reactions to certain things.
Yeah.
So, that's another way of stepping aside for a moment and go, all right, hold on, easy.
Yeah.
Woosah.
Yeah, that's right.
So.
That's right.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Nick.
And driving is one of those things. Driving is one of those places where, very easy to lose it, because just like the internet, there's a barrier between you and the other person. You don't know them, they don't know you.
Yeah. And people forget when you're driving, you're traveling pretty fast. You got a lot of inertia going on.
Yeah, heavy metal. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, be careful. It's a flying rocket.
Right, basically, yeah. No doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. Nick, I appreciate it. Thank you again, brother. Blessings.
Thank you, sir.
And keep us posted.
Until next time. Take care.
Until next time. Thank you, everybody. And until next time, we will see you next week.